Welcome to the Sour Go-to-Market SaaS Takes podcast, where all your favorite SaaS leaders spill their controversial opinions while testing their taste buds. Get ready for sour candy with even sweeter insights.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? I'm Jason Hassenberg, and you're watching the Sour Go-to-Market SaaS Takes podcast. Today, I have Jared Robin. He's the CEO and founder of RevGenius, an 80,000 member community on Slack through email. He's just a powerhouse. He also has the Collab. He's a founder of the Collab. What's the Collab? It's basically helping go-to-market leaders be able to collaborate in a way to actually promote and bring revenue in. So, Jared Robin, thank you so much for being on the show today. Let's just get going, man. We got 5 sour candies to try. We got sour Skittles. We got sour popping candy. We've got crybaby tears. We got Barnett Mega Sour. And we got toxic waste hazardly sour. Are you
I
ready?
didn't even know what it was called. I am ready, Jason. This is an honor to be on. I'm unwrapping what I think is the first one here. I got
Yes,
this
it
right, right?
is. Yep.
I came festive. I'm wearing my Ken Enough shirt. I am Knuff. I gave
A hat too. I
five
love
sour takes.
Let's
I think
go.
it's about to get more sour. All right, I'm gonna just throw them all in my mouth. Let's go.
Me too. Let's do it.
Delicious.
Well, they're good. I love the sour Skittles. All
Mm,
right, Jared.
I'm gonna finish it before we go in.
What did you say? Yeah, we can definitely.
I'm, I'm like so. This is great.
Yeah. No, some of these are great. Start off small, we get bigger, right, as we go.
hmm
Mm, wow. All right. Jared, you sent over 5 sour takes. Your
Yes,
first
sir.
sour take. Let's get fired up. Community and audience aren't the same thing. Let's dive deep into that. What do you mean when you say that?
I hear people conflating the two all the time. My followers on LinkedIn are my community.
Yeah.
Sure. So let's dive in a little bit.
Yeah.
Audience is one way talking.
Yeah.
Community is two way,
Yep.
right? Giving both people equity in the conversation. Now on LinkedIn, in the comment section, that is actually happening often, right? To be fair,
Yep.
but when you send an email out, like it's an audience of people, not a community. And community was such a big buzzword the last couple of years, or the last few years, I should say.
Yeah.
Time is flying,
Yep.
that people used it everywhere, and they conflated it with audience, with followers, with all of that. And it's not it.
No, it's not. And just to go into that even a little bit deeper, Jared, when you think of community and you built out communities, right? You know what community is. How do you even start, right? How do you take it from just being an audience to now being a community?
Yeah, great question. So with Rev Genius, I don't know that I had an audience in the beginning per
Yeah.
se. I was just starting social posting. I had and that's how many people who are listening to this probably got their start, like on social, LinkedIn,
Yep.
and others. I just found people from the comment section from webinars I was going to, and I just spoke to them, like either in the LinkedIn DMs,
Yeah.
or if we were on a webinar together, I would literally message in the webinar chat, like in a Zoom webinar chat, and be like, yo, you want to connect on LinkedIn? And then like when we connected, we would just start speaking. So
Yep.
I address these chats totally different than most
Yep.
do. People, sometimes people are quiet. Sometimes people ask questions about the topic. Sure, those are both good options. I was literally like, "Oh shit, I've seen you on LinkedIn. You want to connect in the chat,
Yeah.
or like sending, like if I had the that ability." So then go to LinkedIn often. And then we started a DM chat of so many folks.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you turn audience to, so if you have an audience, how do you turn it to community? You just
Yeah.
got to start somewhere with people
Yep.
talking to people. put them somewhere. It could be in person, it could be in a text sequence, it could be on WhatsApp, it could be Slack.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be Slack. It could be in the LinkedIn DMs, but you probably want to have a group of people talking
Yeah.
and listen to the challenges they have.
Let me ask you this. Going back to what you said and how you built RevGenius, right? You're kind of risky. You're going in the chat. You're doing something different, right? A lot of people aren't like that. So for people who are scared to do that, or people who are worried,
Yeah.
oh, I might be seen as this, like what are some tips, and maybe there's some advice there that you could give?
Yeah. So first and foremost, you're probably going to feel comfortable with one, two, three, or four people. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to build a community, if you're not comfortable with them, I think you should find a community of people that are your tribe and
Yeah.
do that. But so it was me and Galem, and we invited two others, Ben Haber and Stephanie Mata. And we called ourselves the Four Musketeers. And I just said we just had so much fun vibing with each other, and it was like
Yeah.
the early days of people being active on LinkedIn, so there was camaraderie between us. And I'm like, hey, and I knew that they went off into their own circles and they had friends outside of us in
Yeah.
the space, right?
Yep.
So hey, if you know anybody that's like a vibe like you guys, invite them in.
Yeah.
So we just empowered everybody to bring in other people to
Yeah.
set the stage. And the first 500 members of RevGenius were actually invited by members or myself only, versus kicking up inbound and all of that, which came later. And
Yeah.
starting it with that personal touch was everything. And even if you're not super outgoing to do it fast, you're in the GTM space. If you're listening to this, you probably found it on LinkedIn, I'm sure. Um, so probably are active-ish, or
Yeah.
you listen, or you met somebody. Just start meeting people. So even if it's like a longer cadence to get started than we started, because we were fast as heck, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. Move at your own speed, but curate it, bring folks in, that resonate with your message, and vice versa, and that you want to help.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that's a really good message for everybody on here is like you have to start somewhere, right? I mean, put one foot in front of the other, all of a sudden you're a mile, right, from where you started.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way to end this first sour take. Let's try our second sour candy.
It's
It's
it's this,
Warhead,
right?
yeah, Warhead popping candy.
But
So Pop Rocks
yes, sir.
in a Warhead form.
I love watermelon. I love warheads. My question to you back is, how many sour candies did you try to figure out these five? And how many times did you take these five in different orders to figure out this order and the cadence?
So, it's funny you say that. I was looking online and I'm like, okay, what could I get? And there's actually a study online by a group of scientists that had studied what are the most sour candies, and they had five different levels. Like,
Okay.
okay, when you have a candy, that first reaction you get, like, the second, okay, does it last long? Third, does it make your how, like when you have some sour, you're like, and you're like in the back of your throat. And so they had these different levels. And so I based it off that study actually. And so these all go in that study. And that's how I found it. So I tried them, made sure that it was right. There were some I was scared of trying, I'm not gonna lie, based on their definition. But, you know, just power through them. And at the end of the day, I think it's something that it's unique, something that people don't normally do. And like yourself, Jared, I mean, have you ever, Hot Ones, everyone grew up watching Hot Ones, and
Yeah.
to spin it off and do something entertaining in the SaaS world that's very boring a lot is just, why not do it,
I love this. I'm all in, and I can't wait until you have the scientist episode to unpack the
I
science
will.
behind it. But let's go. Next question.
Let's go.
Mm,
Mm.
delicious.
Oh, wow.
Definitely more sour.
Yeah.
Whoa. My mouth is. Can you hear it?
Pop rocks.
Can you hear it?
Yeah. Ooh, I love
Mm,
that. That was really good.
the taste
Sour
is
take
good.
number two.
Mm-hmm.
Not many companies are doing community right.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of going off our first sour take, but let's take a deeper dive into SaaS companies, right?
Uh-huh.
They don't know where to start. There's a lot of them out there that just have no clue, but they're putting money into it, right? So
Uh-huh.
from your point, what is how are they doing it wrong? Let's start with that.
I think there's a lot of SaaS companies that want to grow community or get involved to generate demand. And that's a tricky thing and a slippery slope, right? Because the last thing people in a community want is to be sold to.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. And they're thinking about community. I've spoken to a lot of founders, like early founders in the community game, who are thinking like, okay, I need a community so I could sell more products. My first question to them is, why do they need a community period?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Forget about why they need it for your product, because if they're
Yeah.
already in your product, we could have a very good argument on the customer success and retention side why
Yeah.
they need a community. And some of the most potent communities start there and are wonderful. I just had a webinar and we spoke. Dan and Apollo is doing a wonderful job. Community manager at Canva is
Yeah.
killing it. All of this, like, they already have a product and they're supporting that.
Yeah.
um when you're doing it from the demand gen side and you don't know, and so many people want to hit those revenue numbers and they're looking
Yeah.
at this as a tactic to do that, it doesn't benefit the people all the time, or you're not doing it in a way to benefit the people, and then it bites you that it doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And let's focus on, let's just say, let's bring out an example, right? I think Chili Piper has been a great example of a community, right, that has done it right. And I think that there are some people who else have done it pretty well. Apollo's done a good job now. Aligned has done a good job, Cosmore. So I think that there's definitely companies that are doing it right. But like you said, they're all focused on being of value.
And I
And
will say a lot of those people that you said are doing phenomenal jobs.
yeah,
And they're driving demand from like social in, and
yeah,
we'll talk about some of that. I think that they're knocking it out of the park.
yeah,
Um, but it's yeah, so that works. And then there's like the two-way talking community a bit more,
yeah.
like the RevGenius type where
Yes.
you're understanding gaps and solving
Yep.
it. You don't always, to be honest, need to do that to drive demand, but that's kind of like the deeper
Yeah.
connection.
And it's funny coming now from being in a SaaS company and having that view of like, okay, where should we put our dollars, right? Should we create our own community?
Hmm.
Should we just go and join these communities, right? And support these communities? And I'd love to hear your opinion on that. Like what if you're in your founder's shoes, what would you choose? Or if you're a go-to-market leader.
I think the first thing I would do is join where people already are, to
Yeah.
understand what they're getting, what
Yep.
they're not getting, um, what the space looks like.
Yeah.
Because to start it without understanding the space is almost, I don't want to say the word irresponsible, but it's not thoughtful, because you might be creating a redundancy, and
Yeah.
that might show that you don't get it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, I want to start the I'm I'm gonna start the biggest SaaS community ever. Well, there's SaaSter.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yep.
so go into SaaSter and understand what SaaSter might not be giving its founders, right?
Yep.
And then
Yep.
create that niche and then see it out. So I think a starting point is big, um, to go and experience the space,
Yeah.
and then you'll feel comfortable start doing some activities, right? Like a dinner, or a webinar, or a social media takeover. No,
Yeah.
but like,
I
you
get
you
you.
get the idea.
Yeah. And do you believe that when a community, right? A lot of times in my position, it's like you feel like the CEO has to be bought in, right? Sometimes, I mean, for me, do you feel like that's the case? Does it have to go from a top down perspective, or can it start from the bottom and trickle up?
It's a great question. So I think the CEO has to be bought in, but it can be somebody from the bottom selling it, right?
Okay.
Like up. Um, Especially if the CEO isn't like super active on social and doesn't really see things. They need somebody to manage it up. Like that's just the case, right? So same difference. But I do think the CEO needs to be bought in, because if they're not, um, they're going to be a lot quicker to cut it if it
True.
doesn't work, or I'm sorry, if it doesn't work fast.
Yeah.
And community isn't a paid ad,
Yep.
right? A paid ad leads to pipeline super fast. Sometimes community events could do that very well as well, but like community is like a slow positive burn, right?
Yeah. And when you think of community, is it really the back and forth conversation? And that's the primary, and it could be any type of space. It could be a digital space, right? In person. Do you feel like that's the case here?
So yeah, I mean, it's everybody in it together, like to lift one another.
Yeah.
Um, it could be nonverbal communication, liking a post or sharing or
Yeah.
something like that. But like helping others, like a group of like-minded people that gather together, and it doesn't need to be in Slack.
Yeah.
That hot take I don't think we're going to talk about, or that sour take, but it needs to be somewhere.
Yeah.
And it could be in the comments section of LinkedIn back and forth. But like to build deeper relationships, you're probably having one-to-one conversations even in the DM.
Yeah. And you do a good job of meeting in real life, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
key.
We met
So
in real life, right?
yeah, exactly. And look at us now. Same podcast. You're wearing the Ken Enough shirt. Come on now. I mean, I need to get that. I'm wearing just like a basic button up.
Former coworkers for short term.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I do appreciate you being on here, Jared. And
Hell yeah.
let's move on to the third sour take.
All right, which
So,
one?
next candy we're going to be trying is the sour baby tears. Yep. It's a
Okay.
level 34 on the pucker index. That's what they call it.
I'm
I'm going to do all, I mean, totally up to you. I'm going to do all four. I'm just
gonna
going to,
do all four.
all right, let's do it.
Wait, I didn't open it yet. You wrapped these
Hard.
so nicely.
I,
So nicely. I might need to take my keys out.
all good. Oh,
Is it good?
well,
Is this the first time you've tasted these?
no, but it always hits
All
especially
right,
if
here we go.
you don't try it. Oh man.
Mm.
Ooh, that one got me.
All right. I don't taste it yet.
So you have to bite into it.
Mm. Hmm.
It's kind of a ending feeling, I would say. Mm.
I got one live in my mouth.
Yeah. Let's
I
go to
like it.
I like it too. Let's go to the sour take number 3. Just paying influencers on a per post basis, whenever, it doesn't cut it, right? Why does that not cut it?
It's too tactical.
Yeah.
I mean, it might work, might not. But judging who you're going to hire the next time just on one thing working or not, it's tough to build relationships between the influencer and the brand.
Yeah.
A true collaboration, right?
Yeah.
When we have that long-term collaboration, both parties are like more invested in each other.
Yeah.
There's more organicness feeling to it, even though it's not technically an organic relationship.
Yeah.
And there's more trust built in with the followers, right? Like you probably picked somebody to work with based on something outside of their followers. I hope.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
their brand message, their MO, who they connect with. Working with them to, like, even if they have like a dud as the first one,
Yeah.
like not a lot of impressions, that could have been for half a dozen reasons, right?
Yep.
Half of those reasons could have been your fault as the brand because you're
Yeah.
making them write a script.
Yep. Yep.
Keep going back and forth and figure it out together,
Yeah.
and they're going to be phenomenal. Like, like look at the brands that, the second one's delicious. Wow. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
The brands. So I'll go back to Apollo. Apollo's doing a wonderful job with this. They've had community advisory board. They've paid relationships with some communities, with some influencers, but they build this collaborative approach
Yeah.
and this long-term approach. Okay. And it creates a lot of trust with each of those people's audiences or communities, depending on what they're running.
Yeah.
And the brand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I mean, they're taking it one step further, right? They're hiring people who have a brand, a personal brand already, right? Like Tyler Washington, Chris Van, I forgot his last name, but that guy's incredible, right? I mean, I watch his videos all the time. So I think that it's almost this step where it's like, wow, okay, we did this right. We collaborated. Now let's start bringing people in and actually being even more tied into what we do, right? And so I definitely think you're right. I would love to hear from your standpoint. Okay, you're a scrappy, SaaS company. Maybe you're at 5 million, and you're thinking, all right, I need to get some leverage here. I need to get some collaboration going.
Mm-hmm.
How can you start that?
Find so assuming you want to hire like a creator or an influencer, I think that's certainly a pretty valuable path.
Yeah.
Figure out who aligns with your brand by watching them, by interacting with them, by talking with them. Figure out like a wish list of X number of people you think you could afford and a budget for that. But like, don't just budget one thing, budget across the year, even if that means less money per each time.
Yeah.
Figure out other ways to compensate, whether it's equity, whether it's um I equity and money are the two main ways, but
Yeah.
I'm sure there's something else creative
Yeah.
that you could do, but like get them bought into your brand, right? You don't want to work with somebody that doesn't believe in your brand just because you paid them exactly. And that's another thing. If someone wants $1,000 a post and you give them $1,000 and they don't necessarily love your brand, wow, that's a different experience.
Yeah.
Somebody that
Well,
does. And you could pay somebody $100 that absolutely loves your brand with a smaller following, and that might blow up. So in a good way. So I think you have to find the right people that align, get to know them,
yeah.
and see if they want to work with you for long term.
I love that. Is there any other pieces of collaboration or insights that you have in there for any go-to-market leader here?
I think we're at a time where hiring independent contractor GTM professionals, whether they're influencers, creators, fractionals, advisors, is big.
Yeah.
You have a plethora of people that are side hustling or full-time hustling, um, that are able to help your brand grow. Maybe more so than people in-house because they have different perspectives, they have different connections, they see different things, right?
Yep.
And you don't have to pay them full-time salaries,
Yep.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
And it gives flexibility. and they don't want full-time salaries. They just want more
No.
money
Yeah.
than whatever they're getting. And
That's a
and
great.
so it's a mutually beneficial thing. You could lift both you up. I mean, 1984, I think the year was, like Nike's basketball department was like flailing.
Yep.
They made a bet, and that bet was Michael Jordan, and they collaborated with this person, not hiring somebody in-house, and both of them became rich as a result. And
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
good.
they don't hire Michael Jordan for one dropping Nike at one speech. They
Mhm.
hire him per year,
Yep.
right? These athletes, like look at the B2C world. They're finding these long-term partnerships that are really mutually beneficial. And yes, in that case, he got equity. Um, and they both went through the roof, like
Yep.
in terms of goodness. So be open. We don't see anybody at that Michael Jordan, so to speak, level in SaaS yet,
Yeah.
but be open to thinking through how you could start laying the framework of truly partnering with people, to take your company to the next level.
And I know this wasn't part of this sour take, but I'd love your opinion on this. If you're somebody who wants to get into the collaborative role, wants to go and hustle, what is, how, just from your point of view, how do you even start that, right?
Be active, be seen,
Mhm.
be seen. You have to be seen. Building your brand.
Personal brand.
If you're not being seen by the brand that's hiring you or by the people that the brand wants to get in front of,
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to land like an influencer or creator thing. If you're not creating, you're
Yeah.
not going to get hired as a creator. From
So
a
true.
fractional standpoint, it's a lower barrier from like a personal brand standpoint,
Yep.
but you still need to be seen. I'm for, speaking to fractionals all day long, and when roles open, they have networks that introduce them in. So you need to be good. You actually, and that's what's cool about fractionals. Hey, well, you should be good. Sometimes you could get a job and not. We all know that, but like
Yeah.
um you should be good, and you need to have a network. So you need to be seen. Um, you don't necessarily need to be seen on social unless you're going to be an influencer.
Yep.
But even still, there's people with low followings that just in the last year became hella active.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, and they're landing some stuff.
Who have you seen right now, just to call out a couple of people that you would love to, say their name?
Melissa Gaglione like came out like firing.
Yep.
She created this incredible experience, a creator house. She just did that kind of out of nowhere, and she was being
Yeah.
active, and now she's got a pretty good following,
Yeah.
and she probably had it a little before that, but um, I'll shout out Katie Penner. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay, like everybody who's listening is probably like Katie Penner is the shit.
Yeah.
She
It
is.
really is.
I'm like texting her off to the side here. Um, and but but think about this. Like she was a really good sales development leader at
Yeah.
Sendoso, and then she just got more active, more seen,
Yep.
and now she's connecting the whole Senfluencer program. It was her idea,
Yep.
but like look at you, Jason. Like, let's just launch the Sour GTM SaaS Takes podcast and eat 5 different types of sour candy with a wonderful network of people. There's and the output, I have no doubt, will be a bigger brand footprint than when you started.
Hmm.
And you're just doing the thing.
Yeah. You just got to put, like we said earlier, you got to put one foot in front of the other. You might be scared at times, but that's a good feeling, right? To have a little bit in your gut. You're like, fuck it.
Dude,
Let's just roll, right?
I was sending DMs to 300 people a day manually. Everybody knew me, not because they wanted to or they cared to, but they did. And then I started posting this homie shit, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's actually kind." I hope.
He's
I hope.
dope.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
vibey and all of that.
I'll never forget when you walked to the Ascent conference and you were wearing all black. I'm like, dude, this guy is fucking sick. I'm like, are you kidding me? Everybody else is dressed in suits. You're just coming in, rolling in. I'm like, dude, this guy could have been on a stage right now, just rocking hard out,
Well,
man. I
then,
just
then
loved
I
it.
went on a stage without a guitar.
Yeah, true. That is true. You did drop some
Yeah,
bars, right? Let's move
not
on.
not lyrics. Okay, so next one, we're doing
Sour
the
take
the
number 4.
toxic waste or no?
No, we're doing the Barnett's Mega Sour.
So the toxic waste is worse than this because you were saying
Yes.
that this is awful.
This is bad, yeah. This is
Okay.
like right off the cusp. You're like, holy shit. It gets better at the end, but right away you're gonna be like, mm. So we don't have to have this in our mouth the entire time. I know it's pretty big. It's gonna be hard to talk to, but definitely want to have sit in there for a little bit.
Yeah, but it's funnier. So like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
All right.
All right, one.
Cheers you on this one here.
Yeah, you ask it and I'll put it in my mouth before answering.
Okay. Outbounding in a community is not the same as being active or showing up.
Oh my God, this is phenomenal. And it is more sour.
Oh my God.
I actually like it. This is the first legit sour thing you gave.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
Wow, let's just try to talk.
Okay.
So, especially ICs, they come to communities to try to sell. Should you go to communities to try to get business? Sure. Should you go to communities to try to sell? No, never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I get it. You're a revenue professional. Generating revenue is either directly or indirectly your job. It's weak now.
It got better.
It got easier. I
Yeah.
loved the beginning.
Yeah.
So people are like, I'm in community. People are just they're outbounding in a community and they're using RevGenius member, and I'm sure they're using Pavilion member and anybody who's got it on their LinkedIn profile to reach out to people. Is this smart? Well, it's not the same thing as being active or showing up. It's not as potent.
Yeah.
And it could erode trust from the beginning, or like you're not going to build trust. It is such a polarizing tactic. And I'm not convinced it works well enough to even start.
Yeah.
Go to a community, be active. I have so many fractional CROs that tell me how they get all this business from community. Hubbard on his side project gets all of his business from community,
Yeah.
from answering questions and then people reaching out to them. And I've heard it time and time again. Same thing if you're an individual contributor. So instead, go into a community, answer questions, help out. Be really knowledgeable on the space. If you're really, really knowledgeable, people will listen to you, become friends with you, do business with you.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't do business in a community. I'm saying don't sell.
It's funny you say that because I feel like people kind of have the cusp on LinkedIn now. Like, okay, post, network, right? At least some are. But when they get to like a community like RevGenius, or they get to another community and it's like they almost like lose their head. Like, what am I doing? Like, but if you just stick to the basic principle of being valuable, it could it means the world, right? And so
Make friends.
yeah, make friends. So when you're joining a community like RevGenius, right? What would be the first couple things that, like, let's just go step 1, step 2,
Yeah.
step 3.
So you're joining RevGenius. You want to come in and blend in and meet people.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself. You want to go through onboarding. You want to look at some of the questions people ask. You want to answer the ones you know.
Yep.
You want to say what's up if you notice anybody that you recognize. And I just joined the Beehive community because my newsletter's on Beehive. I did the same thing. Like, oh, you're in here too. You're in here too. And then you want to add value. by the way, doing all of that is adding value. You don't have to do anything major. What's
Yeah.
taking value? Dropping a company related link is taking value.
Yep.
You might be able to get away with it, but that's taking. Nobody is liking those posts.
Yep.
Nobody is. Um,
So true.
Trying to sell to somebody is mega taking value. One-to-one DM spamming people is, I mean, you get kicked out of our community, zero tolerance. Like it's and I'm not gonna like you ever
Yeah.
again.
Of course.
Like what, you did nothing good and you got the head of a community to not like you. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I mean, it's not that I'm not gonna like you. I'm just
Yeah.
not
I
gonna
mean,
talk to you ever again. Like I don't need
yeah.
it.
No, I feel that. And it's funny because it's like when you go to an event and you are in a community like RevGenius, you know a lot more people already. So when you go to like an in-person event, you actually see people that you talk to on Slack or over a call, and you're like, oh, we never met in person. Like, this is
Yep.
great. Let's dive deeper, right? So,
So yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Something I did in Beehive, and I'm just like walking through the things because I don't own their community. I pay for their product.
Yeah,
I volunteer to community manage just because it's a fun thing, and I think that
yeah,
company is spectacular.
yep.
Um, Hit me up for an affiliate code if you want to use it. I think I froze.
You did.
Hold on, I'm back.
Back, you're back.
Hit me up with an affiliate code if you want to use them. But like, I saw a gap,
Yeah,
and I said, "Wow, there's like, let's start a mastermind, and let's
yeah,
just like start a side channel, and anybody who has over 1,000 subscribers, let's meet once a week,
yeah.
and or every other week, and let's help each other."
Well, it's funny
These
because
people are, you know what these people are doing? They're like recommending me for all random stuff and all of this because I took the first step.
yes,
They're certainly liking my social posts.
yep.
They're referring people to the newsletter. But like, I didn't ask for $1. I didn't ask for a meeting. I didn't ask for any of that.
That's that's an incredible story, and I think there's a lot of people that could actually learn from
That
that, right?
happened last week. Like, there's so many communities, whatever.
How long
Do
did
the
that?
thing. How long did that
How
take
long?
me?
Yeah, how when did you start with Beehive? I'm just trying to think out here. I mean,
four
give me
four
a
months ago. So like their community
right?
launched like 1 month ago. And
Yeah,
how long did I so I knew a few people in there just because like I was asking questions, I was seeing who was answering it, and to their
of course.
credit, they were coming and answering. I was asking design questions,
Yeah.
I was asking like growth hacks. And for fun, I was giving mine. I'm like, this is how I've done it, this is how I've done it. People on Twitter, yeah, I'm active on Twitter now, sort of.
Yeah.
It's a whole new world to me. I like it.
Let's
Are,
fire
are
it up.
like are like, I'm talking in the comments trying to help them, and then like this one person had like 3,000 followers, but like only 300 subscribers. And I'm like, dude, why don't you have more? He's like, I don't know. I post. I'm like, why don't you just ask him? He's like, what? I'm like, and I came up with like a script on the spot.
Yeah.
And he comes back to me later. He's like, I asked 10 people and 8 of them said yes. I said, you're welcome. Like give
Yep.
80%. Are you fucking kidding me? Like
Same.
don't just give like basic stuff. Like
Yeah.
give something that's going to help them, perhaps change their life, give somebody a job. I posted a job posting. Nobody's paying me
Yeah.
the other
Which is
day.
just so nice of you to do too, right? I mean, there are
Well, then
people
people
who
are
are
coming.
givers and there's people who are takers, right?
So you'd be surprised. Like all of those people, they're just trying to get to. So here's the funny thing. I got so many messages. I got so many cold calls. I got all of this. Met some wonderful people. Don't get me wrong, and probably worthy candidates. But they're like, I'm in RevGenius, but they haven't been active. And
Yeah.
then they come in for this, and they don't even start being active. They're just taking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like if your profile isn't the best I've seen,
Yeah.
we're done.
Yeah.
Because it's just like a whole, like you're taking my time.
You
And
could
this is
see
the
that.
best. People that do that and then they say, can we hop on a call? I want to learn,
Oh
I
God.
want to learn more, or I want to tell you more about me. Take,
Oh my God.
give to me.
Yeah.
Tell me why you're the fucking best right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah. I fucking love that.
so it's like okay, got it. I'm past that you're not active and that
Yeah.
you're just saying some bullshit. But like I'm past that. So give me something now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what the fuck? Like you're the same person again right now. I gave you a redo and you're wasting my time.
Oh,
Every
bro.
single person that's going to be a guest on here has limited time. And we all have limited time, right? But
True.
their time is extremely limited. I saw your guest list. They're phenomenal. They probably have less time than I do, and I don't have a lot of time outside of coming on Sour Podcast, which I love.
You're an entrepreneur. That's
Um,
why, man.
but yeah, I mean, like, so hit us with something.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, the person that reached out is a much bigger than me for this
Yeah.
job role. And
Yeah.
I said, he's like, do you have a business model or whatever? I'm like, for this, I'm like, he's like, I saw you have this community. I'm like, I feel seen.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
he's asking for something, but like the give is just, I'm like, dude, why don't you just give me your cell phone? Like, let's talk. We
Yeah.
talked, and I just started sending him candidates, like good ones. And today
Love
he sent me a note. He's like, dude, thank you so much for your hard work.
it.
This is like a dude with like multiple exits, multimillionaire, all
Yeah.
of that. Like really big social footprint, like really big, like probably
Yeah.
bigger than most of these like
Of
the top
course.
LinkedIn people, right?
Yeah.
But now we're back and forth texting, and I'm like, do you need more people? Do you need more people? I'm like, if you get somebody, throw me whatever you want if you want
Yeah.
to. Otherwise, I don't even care. He's like, bet if we get somebody, I'll throw you a few bucks. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
See,
Um,
that's the nice thing though, right? Like we always try to be so precise. Like, what are we getting out of this? What am I getting out of this? That question could really cause you to be real selfish, right? Like, what if you just walked into the room and you didn't care about what you got out of it? What if you walked into the room and you actually just walked in and you decided, I'm going to give value wherever I could go? I think the world would be a better place too, right? And events would be better because, we run into people at events all the time that are just
yeah.
trying to, right?
So, and then back to the original question, your sales will be better, especially in a community.
Yep. Sour take number 5, Jared. We're
I
at
got a
the
little
end
sour
here.
there. So I loved the last one. It was sour, but I kind of vibed with it.
Yeah, no, it was that one's like hits you right
It was
away.
fun. It was kind
Yeah.
of fun.
This mellows. This is more of a full throughout kind of sour. So
This is
as
more
we
of,
go,
is this going to ruin my dinner in an hour? No.
I hope not. I
No,
hope
it
not.
won't. Let's go.
All right.
Well,
LinkedIn is not real life. Sour take number 5.
it's not. You're posting a template you got from somebody who you've never met,
Oh God.
who you follow, who doesn't know you exist. Like, I mean, I guess that is real life, but like, you're posturing for optimizing impressions.
Well, it just hit
You're
me.
trying to sell something. This is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
The last one might have been sour.
The sweetness at the end kind of kicks it back.
Hmm.
Mm,
But real life is us talking here.
yeah.
And when I say LinkedIn isn't real life, social media isn't real life, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to just say. Sometimes we think LinkedIn is more real because professional profiles and all this, and LinkedIn was kind of like the second chance for all of these business people to be good at social.
So true.
They missed the Instagram thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Facebook is just for like older folks.
Yep.
LinkedIn is easier with the Twitter. They just never got founders are on there. And LinkedIn is that second chance. So like they resonate, and I do too, right?
Yeah.
But it's not real life. Community is real. Like the relationships that you make are real. The people that you help, the help that you get, the humility you have. I'm fortunate to have taken many of those relationships, not just in RevGenius, but to my cell phone, to become like really good friends with folks. So LinkedIn has real people for
Yeah.
sure. But like if you're just posting and commenting and everything you're doing is a tactic, if you post daily, comment on a dozen plus things a day,
Yeah.
like there's all these tactics. Sometimes it's lost, the people and like the relationships. Now, a lot of people are really good with that. Don't get me wrong, but I just want to put out there that LinkedIn is great to meet people.
Yeah.
Take it off LinkedIn. That's real life.
I
Don't even
agree
do
with you.
stuff.
I agree with you. And it's funny you say that because it's like for about 2.5 years, I was posting and like it got to the point where I wasn't really making that second connect. Like there's a first connection where it's like you're actually meeting them on LinkedIn and you're talking to them and you may be friends. You're not really friends because you don't know the person. You've never talked to them on the phone, right? And for a while, I was like, oh, this is good. But I never really got any, like, in my opinion, I never got any closer to these people. And so for me, like, just a couple months ago, when I hosted that event in Ascent, I was like, I'm going to go and I'm actually going to start messaging these people outside of just it being a work occasion, right? I'm going to go and provide as much value as I can. And when I see them at the event, I'm going to shake hands. I'm going to be the happiest person. I'm going to make sure that they have everything they need, right? So that when they walk away, they remember how I made them feel. Because I think that's the one thing people know, like get the most, it's more memorable is how did that person make you feel? Did they make you feel like shit? Did they make you feel like you wasted your time? Or did they make you feel like, wow, they make you feel like you're on top of the world, right? And I think with you're so much bigger than me. But when I met you, you made me feel so important, right? And I'll never forget that, right? I came and worked at RevGenius at one point because I believed in you and I believed in that mission. And I think that's something that people don't really realize. When you're on LinkedIn, it's like you have to meet people in real life. You have to go the extra step. You can't be lazy, right?
100%. And that's why you'll see like what's my post style? Sure, I have some of the standard stuff that like works well, but I also just have some stuff that's just trying to bring people together. Like today I posted I want to meet the new creators. Like who are they?
Yeah,
Every Saturday I took a page out of Victoria's playbook.
yeah,
Um like the Saturday social and like the Saturday collaboration, right? Like posts that encourage people to meet other people, talk to other people, and like get up vulnerability. I've had posts before where I was like, hey, every Thursday, I want to help two up and coming founders. I'm gonna put like an hour aside. I did it for a couple weeks. It was really hard. I was way too busy and I let it fall. And that's on me for
yeah,
continuing. But like the intentions were to try to lift. And I think um like anything you do it with love, and when you do that it makes it realer. So I'm trying to make LinkedIn as real as possible, on the other hand, but like
yeah,
you could bring people to real life, but it isn't. My real life is my family.
yeah,
um None of them are on LinkedIn. My dad
yeah,
was for a period. Everyone followed him. I'm trying to get him back. My real life is my girlfriend. She's outside of LinkedIn. I'm certainly not allowed to be on social media after dinner, right?
yeah.
Like,
Of course.
I've tried in the past, and now I'm comfortable with not. And at the gym in the morning, I often don't look at my phone at all. I don't even listen to music
Wow.
because we have it's weird. I know. And I go through phases like,
I
but
do the same, man. I've had people
but
call me out for that.
but like but like I won't even plug my headphones in because I don't want a text to come in.
Yeah,
Not that texts aren't real life, but like I literally want to be here in whatever room I'm in.
present.
I want to be as present as possible.
Yeah,
And social media takes you away from that. The phone in general, the internet takes you away from that screen time. We all know that.
yeah, yeah.
Real life is like look at your arms, look at your legs right now. Like that's real.
Yep.
Go talk to a human in real life or fine on the phone.
There's
But like,
probably
yeah,
nobody better than you when it comes to taking that engagement on LinkedIn and actually making it a real relationship, right? I call it a LinkedIn relationship, and then there's a real life relationship, right? Like for you, I don't know, like, did you practice that? How did you just say, screw it? I'm just gonna
yeah,
see this is a
I
thing.
do. I just do whatever I think is right.
Yeah.
I'll ask people how I could support them often.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll tell me, often they won't.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll ask it back. Sometimes I'll have an answer.
Yeah.
Often I won't. But like, you just have to make people feel comfortable.
How
And
do
yeah,
how do you
if
juggle all
yeah.
of this, right? Like, how can you? There's a lot of people here that are going to say, "Well, I have a full-time job that I have to do. I'm trying to do LinkedIn as well. How do I get the in real relate like the meet people at the dinners, and how do I incorporate that while also juggling like a work-life balance?"
So my job is community, right? So like
Yeah.
I have more time to talk to
Yes.
people
Yeah.
and I can justify my time spent
Yeah.
better. Um, if I was a seller or a manager of sellers,
Yeah.
it's harder to do throughout the day to that level. That said, I used to always say my definition of networking was to help whoever you're talking to. So let's just think that this is a networking event after, and you don't have all day to like do everything, but you have some time. You go to a networking event after work.
Yeah.
How can I help this person I'm speaking to away from my business model?
I love it.
So everybody, so like, oh, do you have a data problem, Mister? Like, I have sales intel. That's too fucking lazy.
Yeah.
It's like, do you, oh, what's going on in your life that like is a challenge? Like, oh, I'm trying to grow my personal brand. Well, I don't have anything to sell you there. I mean, I guess I could make something to sell you. How many people
Of
did that? And there's nothing wrong with that, but like, you can't
course.
just be selling people everything. You need to be connecting. So I'm going to help you build your personal brand. Here's 3 low hanging fruit things I did, whatever. I remember once, and this wasn't networking, but like it's having this mentality. I was at Starbucks once 10 years ago, and I was working at a startup, my first one, or I'm sorry, my first one of my second stint. Like I originally did 7 years prior, but then I got out of it. And she's like, oh, I can't get into the VP of whatever, a publicist, like a massive ad agency.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had the formula. Like I was like crushing. I was getting like a 10% meeting rate from outbound. This was like before. This was like a little before outreach came
Okay.
out, right? So like people were like manually doing it. They were guessing emails, and I had this whole formula. Um, and I'm like, I should have started Sales Hacker at the time because I like felt it. But I digress. So I'm like, I'm here. I'm like, may I interrupt? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what's happening? She's like, oh, I can't do this. I said, how does your email look? She's like, I'm like, does it have like a lot of words? Like a lot. And are you telling them everything you did? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's what I thought. Say this, say that, say this, have an ask done. And I said, here's my card, money back guarantee. She messaged me and said that she got a response in a meeting. I didn't know anybody there, but like
Yeah.
that, like what kind of value, like at Starbucks in line. So if you have that mentality to help, and yet to your point, like that's just it's I guess it's been ingrained in me. Like
Yeah.
you either want to help others or not. But like from a networking perspective, I had nothing to sell that way. I sold on-site conversion rate optimization, AI, machine learning technology for e-commerce stores. But that was always interesting to me, connecting with people based on what they actually need, even if my
Yeah.
product can't do it. Early Jared sales trying to sell it, but like later I'm like, let's see if I could be friends with this person. Maybe it's cool. Maybe it's mutually beneficial. Maybe it
Seriously.
benefits me, but like whatever.
That I'd love to end it on this, Jared. You know, let's just say you get hired right now. You're at a SaaS company. You're in charge of the go-to-market. What are the 3 initiatives that you're focused on?
Where are they in
Let's say that,
in growth, and what are their biggest
yeah.
challenges? So the 3 initiatives are aligning with the company's initiatives.
Yeah. So I would say, let's say that they're SMB. They're, you know, we could pick out a company, maybe, but let's
Oh,
just say
it doesn't need to be a company. Yeah.
yeah, they're focused on selling, some sort of sales enablement tool. And, they haven't really started anywhere. All they know is that they have a pretty good tool, I think a great example, Hyperbound, they're starting to get
Sure.
active, but they're small, right? So if you're on Hyperbound, you're a go-to-market leader, where do you start?
We have to figure out the ICP and the personas we're going after. We need to figure out what the you know what their gaps are and how to land meetings with them.
Yeah.
And then we need to, once we have the meetings, figure out, like, are we actually solving their challenge? Like what are the challenges they all have?
Yeah.
And how can our product, like, how can we position our product to help? And, like,
Yeah.
figure out, like, the gaps, and then use that. So yeah, and those guys are real awesome. They're cool, they're fun, they're smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just did an awesome pivot, and you knocked it out of the park. Like, that's where their heads are at
Yeah.
right now. So they have a newer product. Yeah, they need to get validation, and they need to find product market fit. So they got to go all the way down to do that.
Thank you so much for answering that. And thank you so much for joining the podcast today. I am just so ecstatic that you were joining. I mean, I'm so happy we're friends, that we were able to meet, and we've carried that relationship forward. And, I'm always here to help, and I see you as a mentor to me. And so, I just wish all the best of luck to you, RevGenius, the collab. I'm sure you'll come up with another 5 companies in the next 10
Yeah.
years. That's who you are.
It means the world, and I'm going to support you and support this, and support everyone who's coming on. They're all awesome people, and I'm humbled to be invited first, and I'm grateful to know you. Let's go.
Thank you so much, man. I hope you have a great day. Hope you're able to enjoy that dinner too. So
I could eat.
have a good one.
Bye, Jason.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Sour Go-to-Market SaaS Takes podcast, sponsored by Sales Intel, TAC, The Juice, RevGenius, and Hockey Stack. More bite-sized content is available on our LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.